This is Jeff Loomis from Arch Enemy for Jackson Guitars. I started playing Jackson guitars when I was really young, probably like, 13, 14 years old. I had a Randy Rhoads professional series guitar that I got from a local music store in the Wisconsin area where I grew up. And, I think probably it was due to Randy Rhoads actually that I started playing Jackson, just because I loved the aggressive body shape and the style that it had to offer and stuff like that. And really a lot of my favorite guitar players always played Jackson Charvel. Jakey Lee, Eddie Van Halen in the early days used Charvel parts and stuff like that. So Jackson has always been the metal guitar for me, and just really proud to be with the company today and to call, this Kelly my own. I had a lot of friends that grew up listening to metal, I have always wanted to be in some sort of a band. I grew up in a very musical family where, my father had a lot of vinyl, a huge vinyl collection, to be honest. And I always grew up with music playing around the house. And he kind of introduced me to a lot of 70s progressive sounding bands like ELO and Yes and things like this. It wasn't until that I met a few friends that lived close by that started playing bands like Iron Maiden to me and Black Sabbath and stuff like that, where I really enjoyed the more aggressive sounding things, and because there was just so much more guitar that was involved, And a lot of people don't know that I actually started playing drums first, My dad brought home a 3-piece kit, and I would play along to music, and that gave me a good sense of rhythm, but I kind of quickly became bored with that. And he had a classical guitar lying around the house, so I grabbed that, and I just found that I could express myself a lot more on a guitar and get my feelings across that way. So when it came to metal and the whole aggressiveness of that, it just really made me feel like one with it, you know what I mean? It just made me feel like I could express myself through the heaviness of heavy metal. Working with the Jackson team on the Pro Series model, we actually introduced the USA Kelly last year at NAMM, and there was a really, really high demand from fans out there that were curious as if there was going to be a Pro Series available. So I immediately started working with the team here to make that happen. And what I'm holding in my hands today right here is the Jeff Loomis Pro Series. And as you can see right off the bat, it's an absolutely beautiful guitar. It looks a lot like the USA Custom, which we were really kind of striving for. And I applaud Jackson for the amazing work that they did on this guitar. The specs on the Pro Series Kelly are 25.5 scale length. We have a 12x16 compound radius neck with an ebony fingerboard, pearloid shark fin inlays, jumbo frets, which I've always had on most of my guitars just because I like the feel of those. It's very good for deep bends and vibrato. Basically, we have a white binding around the whole guitar that really accentuates the look of the instrument, especially under concert lights. It just looks so sharp, which I really love. We have a wheel truss adjustment right here, which is absolutely killer. Arch Enemy, the band that I'm in, we tour extensively and we're always flying in to many shows. So, with weather-related things, if it being cold or hot, sometimes the neck, can bend a little bit. So rather than taking the plate off up here on the headstock, you can easily use like a small screwdriver or even an Allen wrench to do fine tweaks on the wheel here. And that's very helpful, and it saves a lot of time. The lumen lace side dots are incredibly awesome. Sometimes, when we are at festivals playing in the evening and the lights aren't so good or something like that, I quickly have my monitor guy take his mag light out, and you just go over these for about 1 second a piece, and they light up really bright. And it helps seeing your placement on the fretboard in low lighting situations. So we have a one-piece maple neck-through body with scarf joint with graphite reinforcement in the neck, which gives the guitar extra stability And this really helps too with, going into different environments when touring to keep the neck more stable. The Floyd Rose 1500, I've been using Floyd Rose my whole life. Absolutely love the tremolo system. This one in particular is cool because it's got a push-pull in arm, and you can adjust the tightness of it with a small Allen wrench. And I'm using it all the time. I mean, I love vibrato, of course, in my playing, and I'll do natural vibrato with my fingers. Or I'll use the bar and do it. So yeah, that's killer. Fine tuners, of course. What else do we have? One volume knob. Simple, I like simple things down here. I don't like to have a bunch of tone controls and volume knobs and switches. I like to keep that very simple. A lot of people ask why I have this reversed. Normally you'd have the volume right here, but I always keep that on 10. You know what I'm saying? The volume is always up, and I'm constantly switching between pickups for leads, so that's very easily accessible. Jeff Loomis signature Seymour Duncan Blackout pickups, which are very aggressive and tight sounding, which is the kind of style of music that I play. I really like heavy pick attack, and those accentuate that. That really has a nice sound there.
The body is made out of basswood.
And the top, sandblasted ash, along with the matching headstock. That just gives the guitar an overall great look. One other last thing, which is really cool, is we have the Jackson logo here, which is just like the metal, very metal-looking plating right there, which just gives it a very, very, very aggressive look, which I love. The first thoughts that I heard come in from people that saw the guitar at the 2019 NAMM show was their minds were blown, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those guitars where if it's on, sitting on a stand or on the wall, it immediately sticks out in my eyes because it's just so aggressive looking, And I saw a lot of people pick up the guitar and they were extremely blown away by the playability and the comfort level of it, It's extremely easy to get to the high frets on the guitar too, It's just an overall very, very comfortable guitar to play. But at the same time, very evil and aggressive. The playability and the durability of my signature Jackson guitars is astounding. It's like we tour so much and play, 200 plus shows a year, and we're constantly on the road, and the guitar is constantly going through this, different climates and changes and stuff like that. And what I've noticed personally about the guitar is just the overall stability of it, and it just stays in tune perfectly. Once it's set up and strobe tuned and has the correct strings that I want on it, it's just extremely durable, and the performance is 110% every night. It's a funny thing because between songs, sometimes musicians will go back and fine tune their guitar between songs. I go back there every time to do it, and it's just straight on all the time. It's just stays in tune beautifully, and it's an extremely stable instrument. So, very fortunate to be playing on something like this. When you're playing a guitar, a lot of your sound and your definition from your thoughts and the way that you play and the way you approach the feel of a guitar really comes from your hands first. For instance, if I was to take Eddie Van Halen's guitar and play through his rig, I'm not going to sound like him, It's it's all really in your hands and in your heart. But there's little things in the guitar that you can use as tools, to accentuate your playing, to make you have your own identity or your own sound, And a lot of those things are in your guitar pick. For me, I use a really pointy pick, to get articulate on the strings. I really like the sound of pick attack and stuff like that. So with these pickups here, the Jeff Loomis signature Seymour Duncans, like I said earlier, they're very high output, and you can really hear the clickiness of the pick attack when you're playing solos and stuff like that. I love that. And I like that to be really defined in a live situation. Also, I try to be precise as I can when I play rhythm guitar, so the tightness of these pickups really accentuates the rhythms when I'm playing. Those two things right there are part of my style and what I like to come across and have come across as the way I feel and play for the listener out there. I've always loved the Kelly shape, and one of the reasons I think is just like it's an extremely metal, aggressive-looking guitar. You know, one of my favorite guitar players, Marty Friedman, used it for many, many years, and you know, after him, not so many people really used it, and I just have always been in love with the shape. It's extremely aggressive-looking, and I thought it would be perfect for, you know, the band that I'm in, Arch Enemy, which is a very, you know, extreme melodic death metal band. So just the curves of it and the way it looks with the white binding around it, it's just extremely awesome, extremely heavy metal. My hair sucks, I hate it. I swear to God, if I wasn't like a metal guy, I'd have short hair. I'd get a business cut.